Are you ready to kind of like rethink everything you thought you knew about calorie counting? Because today we're going deep into the world of food and energy.
Oh, yeah.
We got some pretty interesting research that suggests that the whole calories in, calories out thing might be a bit oversimplified.
It might be a little bit more to it
Yeah.
than meets the eye.
Exactly. So,
You see, back in the late 1800s, there was this chemist named Wilbur Atwater.
okay.
And he was literally blowing up food.
Whoa, wait, hold on. Blowing up food?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Like literally blowing it up
Oh.
in a device called a bomb calorimeter
Okay.
to measure its energy content.
So like a tiny little bomb of food.
Well, he measured how much the water temperature rose when the food was burned inside
Oh, okay.
this sealed container.
I see.
And that's how we got the calorie, the unit of energy that we use today.
So he was basically treating food like tiny little bombs.
Yeah.
That's a bit intense.
Well, it does sound a bit dramatic, doesn't it? But that's how the system we use today was developed.
Okay.
However, there's a catch.
Okay, what's the catch?
People aren't bomb calorimeters.
Right.
Our bodies process food in a much more intricate way.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not like we're just like incinerating everything we eat.
Exactly.
So what are some of the things that can like affect how many calories we actually absorb?
Well, for starters, the type of food plays a big role.
Okay.
Think about nuts, for instance.
Okay, yeah.
They're packed with fat.
Mm-hmm.
So based on Atwater's system, they'd seem very calorie dense.
Yeah.
But studies show that we don't absorb all those calories
Oh, really?
because the fat molecules are locked inside tough cell walls made of fiber,
Okay.
and our bodies can't break down those cell walls as efficiently.
So those calorie counts on the label might not be telling the whole story.
Exactly. And it's not just nuts. Think
Right.
about beans, lentils, even whole grains.
Okay.
They all have structures that make them harder to digest, meaning we may not absorb all the calories listed on their labels.
Okay, so it sounds like the structure of the food itself can impact how much energy we get from it.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And on top of that, even the way we prepare our food can affect how many calories we get from it.
Really?
There's this fascinating research by Richard Wrangham who argues that cooking was actually a turning point in human evolution.
Interesting. What makes cooking so revolutionary from like a calorie perspective?
Well, cooking makes food easier to digest,
Okay.
allowing us to extract more calories and fuel our growing brains.
So like it's pre-digesting our food in a way.
You could say that.
Interesting.
It breaks down complex molecules, making them more readily available for our bodies to use.
Okay, so if what we eat impacts how many calories we absorb, it sounds like the focus shouldn't just be on the number of calories, but also on the quality of the food, right?
That's a really important point.
Yeah.
And it leads us into the InfloFit method.
Okay.
It's all about recognizing that each of us is a unique metabolic unit. It's not just calories in, calories out,
Yeah.
but rather about understanding how our individual bodies interact with food.
Okay, so we all have different metabolisms. We have different gut bacteria.
Right.
We ultimately have different responses to food.
Yes, exactly.
So tell me more about this InfloFit approach.
Okay.
What makes it stand out?
Well, the InfloFit method emphasizes nutrient-dense whole foods
Okay.
over calorie restriction.
Gotcha.
It acknowledges that food is more than just energy.
Yeah.
It carries information that communicates with our very DNA.
So instead of obsessing over calories, we should be thinking about how food affects our bodies at a deeper level. It's
Exactly.
almost like food is having a conversation with our genes.
Exactly. There's a whole emerging field called nutrigenomics
Okay.
that explores this communication between food and genes.
Wow.
And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The amount of calories we extract from food depends on a complex interaction between the food itself, our unique bodies, and even the trillions of microbes living in our gut.
Oh, the microbiome.
The microbiome.
Everyone's talking about the microbiome these days.
They are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So how do these gut bacteria play into calorie absorption?
Yeah, like how does that work?
Well, they play a huge role in digestion.
Okay.
Some bacteria help us extract more energy from food,
Interesting.
while others consume some of those calories themselves.
Really?
It's like a microscopic ecosystem
Yeah.
with its own set of rules.
That's incredible. So the number on a nutrition label is only part of the equation then?
Right, and this leads us to the work of Dr. Fatima Cody Stanford.
Okay.
Her research challenges the traditional calories in, calories out dogma
Okay.
and demonstrates how factors like metabolism and food type can lead to different weight outcomes, even when calorie intake is the same.
Oh, wow. So two people could eat the same number of calories, yet experience totally different weight changes because their bodies are processing those calories differently.
Precisely. Dr. Stanford's work highlights how everyone is truly a unique metabolic unit.
Yeah.
We each have our own individual gut bacteria, metabolic rates, and responses to various types of food.
So what you're saying is this idea of a universal calorie doesn't quite capture the complexity of how our bodies interact with food.
Exactly. It's not as simple as just adding up numbers.
Right.
We need to consider the interplay of multiple factors.
This makes me wonder about all those popular diets out there that focus solely on calorie restriction.
Right.
Are we missing the bigger picture if we just focus on cutting calories?
It's definitely worth considering if we only focus on reducing calories without thinking about the quality of the food.
Okay.
We could be missing out on essential nutrients and even disrupting our gut microbiome.
Ah, right.
Remember, those microbes play a crucial role in how we digest and absorb calories.
That's a good point. So how does the InflowFit method address these concerns about calorie counting and individual variations?
Well, the InflowFit method encourages a shift in focus from calorie quantity to food quality.
Okay.
It emphasizes whole, natural foods,
Like what?
like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, and organic meats.
So instead of counting calories, we should be thinking about nourishing our bodies with foods that are naturally nutrient-rich.
Yeah.
What makes those types of foods so important?
Well, these foods are packed with micronutrients,
Okay.
vitamins and minerals that are essential for countless bodily functions.
So it's not just about carbs, fats, and protein,
Right.
but also these micronutrients that we often forget about.
Absolutely. Micronutrients are the unsung heroes of nutrition.
Yeah.
They work behind the scenes to keep our bodies functioning optimally.
This is making me rethink my grocery list.
Good.
It seems like the InflowFit method is about a lot more than just weight management.
It is.
It's about creating a sustainable approach to eating that supports our overall health and well-being.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's about moving away from restrictive diets and embracing a way of eating that nourishes our bodies and minds for the long haul.
So if someone is used to counting calories, how can they start to shift their mindset towards this InflowFit way of thinking?
Well, it's not necessarily about ditching calorie counting altogether.
Okay.
It's about shifting the focus.
Okay.
Start by incorporating more whole, unprocessed foods into your diet.
Gotcha.
Pay attention to how those foods make you feel.
Okay.
Do you feel energized? Satisfied? Or do you feel sluggish and bloated?
It's about tuning into our bodies and becoming more mindful of the signals they're sending us.
Exactly. It's about developing a deeper understanding of what truly nourishes you.
Okay.
And this brings us back to that fascinating field of nutrigenomics.
Yeah.
The study of how food communicates with our genes.
I'm still amazed by the idea that what we eat can actually influence our gene expression.
I know, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, can you give us an example of how this works in practice?
Sure.
Okay.
Take cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale.
Okay.
They contain compounds that can actually activate genes involved in detoxification and cancer prevention.
Wow.
So by eating these vegetables, we're not only getting essential vitamins and minerals, but also sending beneficial signals to our DNA.
That's incredible. It really highlights the power of food choices.
It does.
It's like we have the ability to influence our health at a genetic level.
It really is remarkable.
Wow.
And this is why the InflowFit method encourages a diverse diet rich in a variety of whole foods.
Yeah.
By incorporating different colors, textures, and flavors into our meals,
Uh-huh.
we're exposing ourselves to a wide range of beneficial compounds that can positively impact our health.
This is giving me a whole new perspective on how I approach my meals.
Yeah.
I used to think about food primarily in terms of calories and macronutrients.
Yeah.
But now I'm starting to see it as a complex system of information that interacts with my unique biology.
That's a great insight. And it's important to remember that this complexity is precisely why a one-size-fits-all approach to nutrition simply doesn't work. What works for one person might not work for another.
Yeah, we all have different genetics, different lifestyles,
Exactly.
different dietary needs.
Right.
So how can we start to understand what works best for us as individuals?
It starts with paying attention.
Right.
Pay attention to how different foods make you feel, both physically and mentally.
Okay.
Notice how your energy levels, digestion, and mood are affected by what you eat.
It's like becoming a detective of our own body.
Exactly. The more we pay attention to these subtle cues, the more we can learn about what truly nourishes us and supports our individual health goals.
So it seems like a lot of it comes down to awareness and experimentation,
Mm-hmm.
trying different foods and seeing how our bodies respond.
That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah.
It's about approaching nutrition with a sense of curiosity and mindfulness
Okay.
rather than rigidity and restriction.
This is all so empowering. It's making me realize that we have more control over our health than we might think. We have the power to make choices that support our bodies and optimize our well-being.
Absolutely. And as we continue to learn more about the intricate connections between food, our genes, and our microbiome, we'll be able to personalize our nutrition choices even further.
Wow. Yeah.
It's a truly exciting time to be exploring the world of food and health.
I completely agree. This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
I'm glad.
It's truly shifted my perspective on calorie counting and nutrition in general.
Great.
I'm curious, for those listeners who might still be attached to calorie counting, is there a way to reconcile this approach with the InflowFit method?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think the key here is balance.
Okay.
We can use calorie information as a general guide, but we shouldn't let it dictate our food choices entirely. It's important to prioritize food quality and listen to our body's feedback.
So it's not about throwing out calorie counting completely,
Right.
but rather about understanding its limitations and integrating it into a more holistic approach to nutrition.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that calorie counts are just one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And that there are many other factors at play when it comes to how our bodies utilize energy from food.
This conversation has really highlighted the importance of moving beyond simplified notions of calories in, calories out,
Yes.
and embracing a more nuanced understanding of how our bodies interact with food.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the intricate interplay between food, our genes, our microbiome, and our individual lifestyles.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
It seems like we're only scratching the surface of what we know about nutrition and how it impacts our health.
You're absolutely right. We're still in the early stages of understanding these complex interactions.
Yeah.
But with every new discovery, we gain valuable insights that can empower us to make more informed choices about what we eat.
I'm excited to see what the future holds for the field of nutrition.
Me too.
There's so much potential for personalized approaches that can help us optimize our health and well-being.
I share your enthusiasm. I think we're on the cusp of a revolution in nutrition science.
Well, on that note, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the history of the calorie to the emerging field of nutrigenomics.
We have.
We've explored the limitations of calorie counting and delved into the fascinating world of the microbiome and how it influences our calorie absorption.
It's been quite a journey.
And we've learned about the InflowFit method and how it encourages us to shift our focus from calorie counting to food quality and personalized nutrition.
It has.
Yeah. So as we wrap up our deep dives today, what are some key takeaways you'd like our listeners to remember about calorie counting?
I think the most important takeaway is that calorie counts on labels are just estimates.
Okay.
And they don't tell the whole story of how our bodies use energy from food.
Yeah.
We've seen how factors like food type, processing, and even our unique gut bacteria
Right.
can all influence how many calories we actually absorb.
So it's about understanding the limitations of calorie counting and recognizing that it's just one piece of the puzzle.
Exactly.
But-
Instead of getting caught up in numbers, focus on nourishing your body with high-quality whole foods.
Okay.
Pay attention to how different foods make you feel,
Yeah.
and remember that you are a unique metabolic unit.
Right.
What works for one person might not work for another.
It's so true.
It is.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
I agree.
It's definitely changed the way I think about food and nutrition.
Good, I'm glad.
But before we go, is there anything else you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I think it's worth pondering this.
Okay.
If food can actually talk to our genes, what messages are we sending with our current diet?
Oh, that's interesting.
Are we nourishing our bodies, or are we sending signals that could lead to health challenges down the road?
That's a powerful question to leave our listeners with.
It is, isn't it?
It really encourages us to think about the choices we're making and how they're impacting our health at a fundamental level.
It does.
Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of calorie counting. It's been a real eye-opener for me.
Me too.
I've learned so much.
It's a complex subject.
It is. And to our listeners, thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Remember, ditch the calorie obsession, embrace the complexity of nutrition, and keep those questions coming.
Absolutely. And happy eating.
And stay curious.